Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Bree and I'm here today to discuss Ready to Love, Make a Move, episode 6, titled A Big Easy Birthday. All right, y'all, let's get into it. So we start this episode off with Ashley informing Tamika that, she didn't really get to talk much with Kirsten, on last week's episode, that whole fiasco with her and her friend, because Stormy was too busy getting to know him for herself. So Ashley says that she was ready to hear, Stormy's opinion on what she thought about Kirsten, but when she got to her date, Stormy was all dressed up, like she going on a date too. So she's telling Tamika this, and then Tamika says, Ashley, I'm gonna hit a spot for you, and you might not like it. She says that, it's my word that I hate when someone says insecure, but you keep bringing up the comparison of women on dates with men, and I want to make sure that you know your worth and who you are on these dates. Because as you guys know, you know how Ashley has been this whole season so far. She does show her insecurities, when it comes to other women, like the whole thing with Zadia. When Kirsten went on a date with Zadia, she was like making a big deal about that, and just other things. So you can definitely see Ashley's insecurities kind of coming out. So that's kind of why Tamika made that statement. So then, she asked Ashley, are you worried about not being enough? And so Ashley responds stating that, she's still working on that part and she overanalyzes everything. But, since she's been in New Orleans, she has promised herself and the girls that she's going to change for the better. So Tamika asked her, do you feel like Stormy was trying to hit on your man, or were you feeling like a little, I wish she wasn't here because I don't want this attention on someone else. So Ashley says, it was awkward for her because Stormy, did look good. She was pretty that day, but it wasn't her moment, and to just let her have her moment. And I totally understand because, as your homegirl, you're trying to weed out the bad guys for your friend. So you should have been there clocking him and trying to figure out, would he be a good match for your friend or not you trying to get set up on a date. But I digress. So anyway, next, Tamika lets the women know that they have some tough decisions to make that night. They should take the advice of their friends, but really follow their heart. So the ladies, we learn, now have to make a decision if they want to keep their keepers or make a move to blind dates that they went on previously that week. So we learned that the keepers are on their way to the house, and, basically the girls are getting ready so that they can make this decision and let the guys know if they're going to keep them or not. So in the next scene, we see Tamika, ask Cameron, once the guys arrive to the house, they do arrive. So Tamika asks Cameron, does he feel like he's on the same level as Zadia, and can he give her what she wants in a relationship? So he responds saying that he is giving a lot of himself, but maybe it's not enough because he is a hardworking man and he has a lot going on right now. And so, pause, y'all. That was code word for, yeah, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for no serious relationship. Because if you're making an excuse about, you keep working all the time, to me, that's a bad sign. But yeah, let's continue. So next, we see Ashley sit down on a couch with Kirsten, and she lets him know that she feels really conflicted with Stormy because it was her date. And that whole thing that went down. So she says she feels like the issue was Stormy letting him know that she's single. And it's kind of like, okay, girl, what's going on? Like, why are you letting him know you're single when I'm supposed to be talking to him and you're supposed to be here trying to gauge him, not trying to see something for yourself? So she tells him that she has to do better with letting, him know what she really wants. And then we jump on over to a scene with Bernicia sitting down talking to Jabari. So she lets him know that she loves their vibe together, but she's kind of, skeptical about whether they'll mesh into each other's worlds, if they're even equally yoked. So Jabari lets her know, I understand, but I have a very structured life. And he's, very adamant on his structured life. Like before, he was saying he goes to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. He's in the house. He wants his woman in the house when he in the house. And I don't know if he can adapt to Vernisha's lifestyle because she's an entrepreneur. Sometimes she's at different events, late at night. So I don't know how that will work. So next, we jump on over to Zadia and Cameron talking outside. And she asked him, how do you feel about everything that's going on, this process? So he says that everything has been going well and he feels like he has definitely learned things about himself, but being able to make time for his lady is so important and, just enjoying that journey. So Zadia lets them know that, they've been at this for a while, but she does has reservations on whether he can make time for her. And let me just tell you something. A man has autonomy over his time. Anybody has autonomy over their time, whether you're an entrepreneur or you work, a traditional 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever that is. You have autonomy somewhere throughout the day. So if you really want to be with somebody and want to make time and get to know them and go out, you're gonna do that.
I said what I said. Okay.
So I feel like he's kind of giving Zadia some excuses, and I kind of feel like he's pulling back a little bit because maybe the process is getting a little bit more serious as, she keeps choosing him every week. And he can tell that she's really into him. I mean, men are not blind, they're not stupid. So yeah, we'll see. So, Zadia, lets him know in that scene that she's decided to keep him around. I mean, were we surprised, guys? No, I knew she was gonna keep him around because she wasn't like feeling any other dates that she's been on. So of course he's happy and they actually share a kiss. Like, I think it was on the lips. So that was kind of the first time we got to see that. So we jump back on over to Vernisha and Jabari, and she lets them know that she doesn't know if they can quite adjust to each other. And she's decided that she's going to go in a different direction. So she's decided not to keep Jabari around. And, I think it was for the best because, their lifestyles are kind of different. He wants something different than she does. And I think it's for the best. So, they hug it out and she does start crying about it because, it is kind of hard to, turn somebody down. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So I get where that was coming from. So it seems like they're all good, after that. So back to Ashley and Kirsten. Kirsten says that he's enjoying, his time with her and he wants more of it. And to be honest, I don't really believe him because I don't think he's really into her. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he was into her from the beginning. I just don't. I mean, I feel like it's almost like he likes her as a friend, but as far as romantically, I don't think he's into her. That's just my opinion. So Ashley lets him know her concerns, what her concerns are, and if he's ready to be in an exclusive relationship with her only. So she says that to him. He doesn't say anything, I don't think. If I'm wrong, y'all, let me know in the comments. So ultimately, she's decided that she wants to keep him around. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, Ashley. Like, yeah. I mean, clearly she only wants to see what she wants to see about this guy and not pay attention to the warning signs. And my thing is, what really would have got me is on their last date with her friend, when she got up from the table and she was upset, he didn't even get up to go check on her, nothing. He's still at the table talking to Stormy. So it's like, that even tells you even more, he doesn't really care, but whatever. So they hug and kiss, y'all. So in a new scene, we see Charisse is talking to Keith, and she lets him know that she is proud of him, of where he is in life, but she thinks that she doesn't know how compatible they are. And he's the guy that says he hasn't traveled in like 25 years. He's been taking care of his son, but recently he went to Dallas on vacation, and how Charisse is. She wasn't feeling that. She really wants someone who's outgoing and likes to travel. So anyway, she lets him know that she's decided that she's going to move in a different direction. So he understands, he takes it like a G, so I give him that. And so, they both, understood. So it just wasn't meant to be. So the ladies' friends, they're hanging out with them at the house, and now they have to say goodbye. So they say their goodbyes, and they're off to go home. So we learn that Zadia's birthday is coming up, and Tamika tells her that she's going to throw her a fantastic, sexy NOLA rooftop party. So she lets the ladies know that all of their keepers will be invited to the party. But if they hit it off with like their new blind dates they're going to go on blind dates with this week, they can invite them too. So this should be interesting. So in a new scene, we see Zadia walking into a restaurant, and she meets a guy named Darius, who we learn is 31 years old and is a photographer. So he asks her, what do you like to do? Are you into the art scene? And she lets him know that she's a makeup artist, and he says that he's a photographer, but that he also works in a hospital as a respiratory therapist and works in the ICU. So he lets her know that his ideal woman would be peaceful and respectful, because I think Zadia had asked him what is his ideal woman. And so he lets her know that. So Zadia says, well, what about loyalty? And he says, respectful is loyal. And she's like, no, it's not. And you can tell Zadia was just not into this date at all. Child, she was just really giving that off. To me, it was kind of rude. I mean, yeah, you may not be attracted to the person, and you just may not be feeling you guys' conversation, but don't let him know that. Kind of engage and just be nice, but Zadia is like, I'm just over it. So anyway, yes. So, as I was saying before, you can tell she's just not into the date. Her demeanor is off. And she lets us know in her confessional that she's not into the date, like I was saying. So Darius asks her, does she have any questions for him? And she's automatically like, no. And Lord, after she says no, then she says, I think I'm going to put a pin in it. And I'm like, Zadia, dag, like that is just so rude. Regardless of whether you want the date to end or not, you didn't have to say, let's just put a pin in it. It was just very, very rude. But anyway, he obliges and he's like, okay. And so their date ends. Next, we see Charisse arrive at a restaurant, and she's on a blind date with a guy named Danzy, who's 44 years old and works in pharmaceutical sales. So, they meet each other at the restaurant, and they start talking about what they like to do, and both of them say that they like to travel. So immediately, Charisse's gears is up with that. So she's like, ooh, that's great, because I need me a travel partner. So in her confessional, she says that, this guy is successful, he's outgoing, and, she's really feeling it. So as they're talking, she lets him know that she's looking for consistency in a relationship and someone who makes her feel safe, because she likes a man who's confident. So he lets her know that he has his dream job right now. He just got his dream house, but he doesn't have anyone to share these things with, and he just wants that person. So, child, they're just enjoying themselves. They're talking to each other. And, overall, it just looks like they had a great date. So, I mean, that was cool. That was cool. So, in a new scene, we see Ashley walking up to a Jamaican restaurant. And she lets us know in her confessional that she's been talking to Donald. Y'all remember Donald? She's been talking to him nonstop. And, you know, the guy she let go, you know, that's the guy who she let go that didn't call her and she made that scene at the bowling alley. Yeah, that's Donald. So anyway, when she gets to the restaurant, she meets up with a guy named Kenny who's 35 and is a high school principal. So, you know, they meet and he lets her know that he doesn't have any kids, but that he wants to have some eventually, but he just wants one or two. And he also did say if he doesn't have kids, he'll be fine with it. So immediately Ashley's like, yes, child, because I guess she's on the same page. Like, I would like one or two children too, but if I don't have them, you know, I'm good. You know, she says that she just wants to enjoy, you know, the rest of her 30s and she's just not in a rush to have kids. So they start talking about relationships and Ashley asks him, you know, when was your last relationship? So he lets her know that his last relationship was 10 years ago. And as soon as he said that, Ashley was shocked. She was like, wait, what? 10 years ago? So she asked him, you know, what have you been doing for the last 10 years? And he says that he's been in situationships. And I'm like, okay, you're 35 years old. Why are we still doing situationships?
And this is how it felt.
Really?
She's explaining it to you.
Yeah, I'm just saying really.
Anyway, so she says to him, you know, like, that's crazy. And he's like, yeah, I know. And, you know, was just laughing. So Ashley is like, yeah. Next, let's roll on over. Next, we see a new man walking up to a cafe. We don't know who this guy is, but pretty soon we learn his name is Cantrell and he's 39 years old and he's a social worker. So we learn that he's going on a blind date with Vernisha and they meet each other at the cafe and they sit down, they start talking, and he lets her know that he's from New Orleans and that he works with children. So Vernisha says in her confessional, you know, he seems like a good dude and she likes the fact that he works with the youth. You know, she can appreciate that and he guides them as well. He does let her know that he has 2 kids and he does share custody of them and he's big on spending time with family. And so he says that one of the reasons why he thinks he's not married is because he has seen marriage done at a pretty good level and that's what he wants. So she's like, yeah, that's my take on it too. And so in her confessional, she says that she likes Cantrell and Tabari, the guy she went on a date with last week, and now that she has options. So in a new scene, we're back at the house and we see Zadia and Ashley, you know, they're picking out outfits for Zadia's party that night. And so Zadia asks her, you know, what's going on with you and Kirsten? So Ashley says that the chemistry is there between them, but, you know, he's a guy that she normally goes after, but she's here to make moves and changes in her life so that she could have the perfect love story and just not keep doing the same thing as she did in her past. Then she lets Zadia know that she's been continuously talking to Donald like every day. And so Zadia tells her that she feels like her and Donald have a great connection and that she should bring him to her party. So I thought that was nice of Zadia, you know, hook your girl up, bring him to the party. So Ashley is so happy, and she really was. She was really happy when Zadia said that she could bring Donald. And so then Zadia asked, well, you know, are you gonna bring Kirsten? And so Ashley's like, yeah, I'm gonna bring him too. So this might be a whole mess. She's bringing 2 guys she's talking to, so I don't know how this is gonna play out, but we gonna get into it. So next, you know, it's the night of Zadia's birthday party and the girls are walking. They got their cute little outfits on and they arrive at the rooftop restaurant for the party. So the place is decorated, there's food and drinks, and you can just tell they're about to have a good time. So before the guys arrive, they pop a bottle of champagne, they have a toast with each other. Then Tamika arrives and she greets the ladies. And so the first guy to arrive at the party is Tabari, that's Bernice's keeper. Then Mizell arrives, which was Sharice's keeper, the guy she went on that dancing date with last week. Then Danzy, who is Sharice's other blind date that she went on with this week, the guy that likes to travel, he came. And then Cantrell came, which was Vernisha's blind date, from this week. So Vernisha is sitting down talking to Cantrell, and as they're talking, Tabari comes over. Yo, men are trip. It's so funny. They're so territorial, but I love it. But territorial in a good way. They're just natural hunters, it's just how God made them. So anyway, Tabari comes over while she's in the middle of talking to Cantrell, and he hands her a plate of food. So that was nice. At least he got her some food. And so when he did that, Cantrell was kind of like being nervous. He was talking to Vernisha, but I don't know if he was intimidated because maybe another guy is there and he knows that, he's here for Vernisha, so he has some competition. So I don't know. He was just coming off, very nervous. And Vernisha lets us know that she likes a very confident, insecure guy. So, yeah. So also, too, she says that Tabari is pulling out all the stops. And then Tabari comes over to talk to her. So Tabari asks her, what's it like dating you outside of this, outside of this whole process? So she replies, oh, it's fun. It's fun dating me. In her confessional, she says that she and Tabari have a lot of chemistry, but he's a little too playful, and that can get in the way of them being serious. And I understand that, sometimes people can be overly playful, overly joking, and it's kind of like, you want a serious moment with them. And sometimes people may do it out of nervousness, but I totally understand what she means by that. So next, we jump on over to Zadia, and we learn that, Cameron still has not shown up to her party. And so she's kind of looking around like, okay, where is he? So Tamika comes on over to her, and, she lets Tamika know that I think he might have texted her or something. He said that he was going to be late because he's working. So, Zadia is worried that, this whole making time for me thing that he keeps talking about will be an issue for them because he's so focused on work. So she is, feeling some type of way about that. So next, everyone is having a good time, and we learned that Kirsten, for Ashley, he has not shown up to the party yet. So in Ashley's confessional, she says that she invited Don at the last minute. So she's not sure if he's going to come or not, but she'll see. But she's just wondering, okay, what's going on with Kirsten? He has not shown up. He hasn't called. He hasn't texted. No, nothing. So that to me is already a red flag. He's just not interested. Anyway. So finally, guess who shows up? Don. Don arrives, and Ashley is so happy. And, they hug each other, and he looks at her outfit, and he's like, yes, girl, you look good. So, that was really cute. He gets some brownie points for that. Definitely get brownie points, Don. So anyway, Ashley's excited to see Don, and she does say to herself, did I maybe pick the wrong person? Maybe I should have kept Donald and let Kirsten go, because obviously we see who's here. So yeah. So anyway, so next we see Sharice. She's talking to Danzy and Mizell. And first we see her sitting down with Mizell, and she asks him, is he ready to settle down? So he says that he's looking to love himself, and that, when that time is right, he'll attract the right person. That's essentially, what he's saying. So Danzy starts talking to Sharice in French, and she asks him, what did you say? And he responds saying, oh, I have no idea, and starts laughing. So Sharice So with Sharice is not amused, honey. You know how she is. So anyway, she lets us know that she's starting to notice that Danzy may have had a little too much liquid courage because he kind of was drinking a lot. And maybe it's been helping him get through this party. So she says he may be a little tipsy. You know, he's talking to everyone. And, you know, he's saying to Sharice that she's really pretty, and sometimes pretty people come off rude, but that she doesn't, and she comes off a little humble. So he's saying that while he's sitting down, I believe it was with Ashley and Don, and I was just like, oh gosh, this is about to be a mess. So you can tell he's kind of, you know, inebriated. And so then Danzy puts his hand on Sharice's back, and immediately, honey, she turned around to him and says, "Did I tell you to touch me?" And I was like, oh gosh. She was like, "Did I tell you to put your hands on me like that?" And he says that, you know, is that not okay? And she's like, I mean, and then he starts touching her face as if he's like wiping something off of it. And she says in her confessional that he's being rude, he has no game, and that this little love connection, whatever this is just not gonna work. So Mizell, I guess, comes to the rescue. He comes on over and they start talking, getting all cozy with each other on the chair. So Sharice is probably like, child, thank God he came. So towards the end, Cameron, y'all, still has not shown up to Zadia's party. It's getting late. We don't know if he's going to come through that door or not. And so Zadia lets us know in her confessional, she says if Cameron ditches her, it's going to be an easy elimination for him. So, and scene. So yeah, y'all, we'll see next week if Cameron shows up to Zadia's party. It's going to be real messed up if he doesn't. I'm going to guess maybe he's going to show up. And, you know, they're just doing this for dramatic effects for the show. So I do think he's going to show up, but I'm not sold on him. Especially this episode really kind of made me open my eyes as to whether or not he really likes Zadia so much so that he can spend time with her. Because like I said, people have autonomy over his time. And if he really wants to be there with her and wants to see her, he gonna do it. A man is gonna do it. You wanna know why? Because he's not gonna risk you getting away from him and having another man have you, period. But anyway, overall, I would give this episode a 7. It was pretty good. I don't think it was like fantastic or anything like that, or explosive or anything, you know, of that nature. But I would give it, you know, a 7. It's pretty cool. So, you know, we'll see. So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for another recap, sticking here to watch another video for Ready to Love, Make a Move. As always, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you'll, you know, be notified whenever I upload a new video. Also, too, please comment below, you know, tell me guys, you know, what you thought about, you know, this week's episode of Ready to Love. Do you think Cameron's going to show up? Do you even think Cameron's going to make Zadia his girl? I'm just curious. I already gave y'all my opinion. But anyway, before we go, of course, I always want to close out and say a prayer over you, you know, something to just help you get through the week. You know, we all need that. So, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. And also, too, may the Lord protect you. This is my prayer over your life. In Jesus' name, amen. So take care, everyone. I'll see you in the next recap in my next video. Take care. Goodbye.